So before we get into today's episode, I want to share something that's genuinely made a difference in how I run my own business. Now, for years, I organised my business using a paper. Then in 2020, I discovered Squeegee app, an app that has been designed by window cleaners for window cleaners. Squeegee app has been a lifesaver. It handles my schedule, my client listing, helps me to very quickly reschedule repeat clients. It even has features like invoicing and quoting built into the app. So if you're ready to work smarter, grab Squeegee app using my discount code that you'll find in the show description below. It's what I use every day in McRae's window cleaning here in Australia. Well, welcome everyone back to the Window Pro podcast, and today I've got the privilege of talking to Paul Hickmott from PH Exterior Cleaning Services, and Paul is based in Northampton in the UK. Welcome, Paul, to the podcast. Great to have you along.
Thank you, Duncan. Thank you. Good to see you.
So, Paul, could you tell our listeners how you got into the industry? Because you didn't start as a young fellow and spend 30 years. How did you get into it, and what have you enjoyed about it?
Okay. So when I got to the age of 55, I found that I was co-running a printing business with my business partner. And not everyone might find this, but I know I did. At 55, I just found it highly stressful. You're responsible for a group of people, hitting the payroll, hitting the VAT, making sure you've got all the big machinery to do the print runs, etc. And I just thought, actually, this isn't enjoyable anymore. And I wanted to, in this next phase of my life, do something that I would enjoy. So I decided to, I got out of printing and contacted a friend of mine and said, can I come out and do some windows and get a sense as to whether I like it? Because doing something physical appealed to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so I started doing some windows. That was in the September. And
What year was that, Paul?
2019.
Oh, just before COVID. Wow.
I know that was the big worry, but I didn't realize at that point. So so I started doing some windows, and then in November, I felt right, I've got a handle of this. This is great. I really would love to just do this myself. A round became available.
Oh,
So very fortunate. I literally purchased a round of about 130 customers, a nice little number to start with and get going. And so by December, I was doing window cleaning for myself, which was that was really, really good, to be honest. That was lovely. So I got stuck into it in December, January, and then in January, sort of November, December, January, with my friend, we were doing some roofs, the occasional roof scrape. And then COVID came along, and it was like, oh no, what's going to happen? Because I've only been doing this a few months, and I don't have a set of books that the government will pay me furlough on, so I'm stuffed really. But fortunately, in the UK, you could carry on window cleaning and doing
wow.
external cleaning.
Excellent.
Yeah, that was great. And because everyone was at home, everyone was seeing you working. They all came out and I'm saying, "Oh, can you do my windows? Can you do this? Can you do?" And it just absolutely took off in that time. Very, very sad time, obviously
Yeah.
globally, but from a commercial perspective, it worked for me at that time.
Yeah. Now, I understand that in those early times of your business, you fell in love with Google Ads. Maybe fell in love isn't the right term, but you fell in love, but it worked very well for you. How?
Okay, so I did decide early on that yes, Windows is great, but I can see there's a lot more margin in roof cleaning. But to start with, I set up my website using Wix, W-I-X.
Yeah.
So I did a basic website on Wix myself, but then I paid some Wix consultants because you can pay them like 100 quid, 200 quid to polish it up and make it
Yeah.
do a much better job than I had done. And then I had a fully fledged website. And then I decided, right, I'll now focus on getting some window cleaning jobs, nice, decent ones, um, and get some roof work as well. So I went on to Google Ads, set it up, and let it rip really for probably about 2 months. That was all I did. And that generated probably about £23,000 worth of roof cleaning work. At which point I thought, oh, this for me, I mean, a lot of people would say, well, that's keep going. But I thought that's enough now because it will organically roll. There'll be a snowball effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I stopped it, and that's exactly what happened. You do a roof, everyone in the close sees what you're doing, and then you get asked to do another quote, and it really took off from there.
Yeah. So your return on investment was remarkable.
Yeah. The Google ads really worked. But I also set up, the Google business page, and I
Yes,
would say to
essential.
yeah, absolutely, anyone getting into this, set up your Google business page immediately. Make sure you're uploading the photos as well, because if you're doing regular updates with media on there, that will push your ranking up automatically because
Yeah.
the algorithms see that activity. Yeah, so that and the Google ads just worked really nicely.
Yeah, oh, that's really good. Yeah, because I guess sometimes a new window cleaners wonder, like, is that going too fa fast, too early in investing money in Google Ads when they're barely in the industry? So that's
Yeah.
really helpful to those listening that it's worthwhile if you've got a particular goal in mind of why you're setting that up.
Yeah. What I would say though, is if you're going to do that, because you can spend money doing
Yeah,
that, make sure you've sat down and done a basic business plan so you know what money you've got to take out of the business each month and what money you're going to have to plow into the business against what money's coming in. And as long as you can make those three figures work for you,
yeah.
put as much into the business as you can. As long as you're taking out your budget to pay your household bills,
Yeah.
everybody's happy.
Yes. Yeah, good suggestion. Good. What do you enjoy about it now that you've done 6 years of in the exterior cleaning industry?
Okay. I I really love doing a good job for somebody. And it's when you do a roof clean, for example, and you're standing there and it was filthy and caked in moss and everything, and you cleared it up and it's a red roof, and maybe the householder's standing next to you and they go something like, I've got a new roof. It makes me feel so chuffed that they
Yeah,
love it. Yeah.
yeah,
And it's that sense of fulfillment. I really love it.
yeah.
Um, I remember years ago when I was in the printing trade, there was a chap that used to work for us, and he used to say something that I loved. And it's been my mantra as well ever since. He used to say, never say that's good enough.
That's a good mantra.
And I love it because it means you get on with the job. You don't rush it. As long as you've done your quoting effectively and you're making your margins,
Yeah,
you give that the best you can. Make it shine. The customer will see it in the way in which you work during the
yeah,
day,
yeah.
and you'll become their tradesman.
That's right. Yeah. I found myself, and you probably have in that short 6 year period, that when you are that way, people aren't looking for other tradespeople. They don't go and chase other quotes. They just know they've got the right person,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
that
Yeah,
means that your business has a stability about it. But it
yeah,
starts with your work ethic early on. Yeah. So now let's talk about roof cleaning for a minute, because when I was at the Cleaning Expo last year in the
yeah,
UK,
yeah,
like just a short little drive, I think, from your place.
yeah.
There was a variety of different avenues of roof cleaning. There was people who did roof scraping, people who just use biocide, others who use um, the twin jet cleaning of roofs, and then
Twin
others who
turbo
use the
nozzle.
surface cleaner. Which,
Yeah.
which is your preference? Because you've seen them all.
Okay. I use I would use low water pressure, so that's the flat surface cleaner on a
Yeah,
telescopic pole hovering.
yeah,
I've used steam machines, so that's the Mazzoni and the V-Tough, and I scrape as well. So I do, and I soft wash as well. So I do them all, but it does depend on what the roof requires. So I
right,
won't lead with something. I'd rather say to the customer, you know, if it's a lead, I'd like to go and do a site survey, understand what the job is, and from that, I will determine what method that I'm going to use. Generally, I do tend to do a lot of the flat surface cleaner
yeah,
on a pole because that's the classic approach.
yeah.
Um, but sometimes if you're dealing with, say, a very, very old roof with very gentle, weak tiles, steel brushes may be the approach.
Fair enough. So there is some discussion I've noted in forums that the surface cleaner potentially affects the coating on the roof tiles.
Yeah, and it can do. So that's another reason why one would want to do a site survey,
Yeah.
because
Uh,
you need to go and look at the tile and see whether it's got a grain on it.
Yeah.
And from that, you can say, well, okay, is it if it's only 5 years old and it's got a good grain, it will cope with a steam clean, no problem. But
Yeah.
if it's a tile that had a grain and it's 40 years old, well, then you've got another issue. So you may switch to brushing, steel brushes, if you will.
Yeah. 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 Well, that's fascinating because we have a lot of corrugated iron roofs here in I know my unit has a corrugated iron roof, so it's a whole different setup. But there are tiled roof. But the problem with a lot of Australian homes is people have gone and put solar panels on. So to
Okay.
try and wash the tiles, people who are doing roof washing, they've got to work around fixed 35, 40s fixed solar panels, which adds a little complexity to the situation. Do you
Yeah.
have that problem in the UK?
Yeah. And in a lot of those, as long as the tiles will take it, using the flat surface cleaner is fine because the head will drop behind the top row of tiles, the top section of the solar panels, and actually get that hard to get row of tiles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yes, I admire seeing video of you there with your long extension pole and your little surface cleaner on some of those tiles. It must do wonders for your shoulder fitness.
An old codger like me. Very
Yeah,
true. Very true.
yeah, well done. Now,
Yeah.
so over the last few years, you've basically pivoted away from Windows to more roof cleaning on its own.
Yeah. So in that first year, basically the year of COVID, if you will, that first one, I was doing lots of windows and I started to do the roofing and then I was juggling both. And I thought actually the margin is so much better on the roofing side of things. It's probably times three that of windows and times two that of driveways. So
Yeah.
it's very good. So if I'm going to have to work, I'd like to maximize my income in the work period. And if I can do that, it means I can reduce my time for my own personal hobbies outside of work.
Yes.
So after that first year, I really did focus on the roof side, and I sold my window cleaning to a chap who wanted to. He was a family man, wanted to come away from what he was doing, and he now does all my neighbours, which is lovely.
Excellent, excellent. Now, when we met us up face to face at the cleaning show last year,
Yeah.
um, you're like a consultant, weren't you, for one of the popular products? Like
How weird.
you were so busy, I couldn't talk very long. Tell us a little bit about that pivot.
Isn't that really weird? Hey, that's incredible. Yeah. So in for the first couple of years, I was watching tons of YouTube videos. I went on different courses so that I had accreditation in various areas. Um, and I started to develop a relationship with a company called Skyvac.
Yeah,
In America, they've got a number of dealerships that they supply. their high reach gutter clearing equipment through. And I started doing one social media posts for them, so they would video me, doing stuff for them. And we then had conversations and decided it would be good to one, work on products together, so we do that, and two, work on providing accredited training for exterior cleaning and roof cleaning in the UK. So that's what we put together, and now that's what we do on a monthly basis now.
Wow. So you do that in conjunction with Skyvac?
Yes, it is Skyvacs. They use me as the person that provides the service, if you will. It's definitely the Skyvac marketing that brings everything in, and it's their course, etc.
So is that just with gutter clearing in line with their products, or is it more expanded into roof washing and so forth?
So this was the nice bit about it, because I think we were all conscious of not putting together a training course that would be viewed as biased towards their product.
Yeah.
So we put the courses are both what we call CPD and Lantra certified. Lantra has to be an unbiased course. You don't get the accreditation unless it's unbiased. So that's been really good in the industry, because everyone sees that the courses have to be unbiased.
Yeah.
The exterior cleaning course is all about pressure washing at ground level, generally, driveways, that sort of thing, cleaning fascias and soffits, doing gutter clearing and roof scraping. Yeah. Whereas then the more dedicated course on roof cleaning is looking at all the four main modalities of roof cleaning and how to do them, and where to get your equipment from.
Yeah. Sounds like you enjoy it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And the nice thing is it's done what I needed, which was I'm 61 now, and I wanted to create a runway into retirement.
Yeah.
And so I've set it up now where I do 2.5 days a week, and doing this with Skyvac and doing my own roof work. And I only have 3 commercial window cleaning customers now. That means I've hit my 2.5 days a week. So it just works for me.
Well done. Well done. It's forward thinking. It's quite a remarkable thing. So if someone asked you what is your niche, because there's lots of talk in industry and in business about having your niche and finding
Yeah.
your passion, blah blah blah. How do you feel about that, and how would you describe what the niche is for Paul Hickmott?
So the niche for Paul Hickmott is roof cleaning
Yeah.
and training. So those are the two things. And I love the roof cleaning, and I'm very, very happy to go out and do it on my own. I find that really enjoyable, because you just do it at your own pace. But there's people that I have trained up, and they've now got their businesses established, and we work together on larger jobs together, which I love as well. So it's yeah, that's me really. Yeah.
Yeah. Well done. So how when you look forward, like I know you're on the runway to retirement, as you said, uh, yeah, ready on that runway. As you look forward in the industry, and
Yeah.
obviously you're looking at it from a UK perspective, how do you
Yeah.
see the window cleaning, basically the exterior cleaning industry? How do you see that developing over the next 5 years?
Okay. So you went to that show last year, the
I
expo.
did, yeah,
Yeah. And when I first went to that 6 years back, 5 years back, it was very heavily window cleaning focused. There was
yeah,
pressure washing and things, but very heavily window cleaning. But I think you'd agree this time round, it's very heavily pressure cleaning with roof cleaning, and it's that sort of arena. There's lots of that.
yeah.
Window cleaning is there, but it's not dominant.
No, no.
No.
That's a very good point, because I know when I got to the front door after having breakfast down at that farm cafe that's just down the road. Um, Great breakfast. When I walked in the door, already I saw people who had gone in and they were there simply for the show specials, and it was all of the biocides, the
Yeah,
chemicals, the roof cleaning. They were already at 9:30, 10 o'clock, rushing out to the car with all of the gear that they'd bought.
yeah.
And all the focus was on roof cleaning rather than on windows in a
It
lot of
is.
those products. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of window cleaners seeing the roof cleaning and thinking, "Oh, I'll have a go at that." Some are buying some gear, doing it once or twice, and thinking, "Oh, forget that, I'm not doing that anymore." And
Yeah.
then others are taking it seriously and getting involved. So I think I got involved at the right time
Yeah.
um, on that wave. There's starting to be a lot of people in that industry at the moment now. But what I think what we'll see in the UK is a lot more focus on van-mounted systems, trailer systems for commercial heavy-duty pressure cleaning, that sort of thing,
Yes.
um, with the capability to do commercial windows.
Yes. So I guess a little difference between when I used to do some pressure cleaning compared to, I don't know what it's like for you where you are, but do you have to supply your own water for pressure cleaning, for that roof cleaning, to run your pressure cleaner, or can you tap into the customer's water main?
I have always tapped into the customer's water main. And if you do a calculation on it, you can actually demonstrate to the householder that the water cost for the day using a 21 litre per minute pressure washer,
Yeah.
if you're using it on and off, will probably be about £8 in the UK in reality. So it's not a lot of money. And no householder has ever had a problem with that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Because I'm the same with my, not that I'm doing pressure washing now, but with my pure water system. So I have a DI system.
Yeah,
I don't carry water that I've
yeah,
already purified. I literally just plug into, there's a 20 litre pump sprayer that I have in the car that
yeah,
is usually for a little job, but for larger jobs, it's literally plug into the householder's water main,
yes.
and it's actually a really good talking point when they stress about not walking on their roof, or how are you going to go reaching that high thing,
Yeah,
that high window. When I describe the process,
yeah.
there's never any, oh, you have to supply your own water. But they're just intrigued. So I think being confident in your process, whether it's roof washing, window cleaning, being able to explain that to the homeowner is
Yeah,
going to go a long way in being able to help them lock you in. So
yeah,
yeah, very,
I
very
agree.
interesting. Have you had to set any boundaries with your business so that it doesn't infringe on your personal life? Like, some people struggle with that. How have you succeeded with that? Because you talked about trying to get your work to 2.5 to 3 days.
Yeah.
How do you set the boundaries so that you've got it under control?
I think that's a very good question because in that first year, that was very hard for me to have that self-discipline. And I realized at the end of that year that that was my weakness. I'm a guy that naturally wants to please people, which can be a problem sometimes. And so if it had to be done, I might be there early Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, and then it starts to impinge on my private life, if you will. I know
Yes.
other people, some people might think, well, it's still bringing money in, which is true, but there is that impact. So in the first year, that was my problem.
Yeah.
I stopped it after the doing the weekends on the second year, and I've never done that since.
Yeah.
Um, so weekends is out of the question, and it's now 2.5 days. But I am flexible on those 2.5 days in the week because at the end of the day, you've got to have a business that's viable.
Yes. So it might be at the beginning of the week, it might be at the back end of the week.
Yeah, spot on, spot on. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think other boundaries for me as well are being aware of customers that don't have an appreciation for the value add that an exterior cleaner brings to their property. So if I go to do a site survey and someone says, "Oh, can you just," or "Oh, it's only this," when I hear those two words, I'm into my boundaries now because I'm thinking, well, okay, there's so exactly. So when my prices will go in, I like to put my prices at the top end of the tree, if you will, in
Yes.
terms of the margins. But I do that so that when I'm on the job, I can absolutely relax and just make sure I really go above and beyond.
Yes.
You know, that
So,
statement I said.
so even if you see something that the customer may not have pointed out to you, you're
Yeah,
comfortable in just doing that little bit extra because you've already built that into your margin.
yeah, I love that. So if there's a wall that's got green algae on it and
Yeah.
it's some render, I might treat it with some sodium hypochlorite, bring it up to new, and then at the end when we're walking round, I'll just bring it in. What do you think to that? Oh, Paul, thank you. And it's just nice, So
Yes. Yeah, I tend to do that because our window cleaning is interior and exterior.
yeah,
We A lot of homeowners have mirrored wardrobes in the bedrooms,
yeah,
and you can tell that they've had a go at them themselves.
ah,
But
yes,
sometimes they're a little bit taller than the homeowner can reach. So
yeah,
just without telling them, oh, by the way, Mrs. Jones, I've done those mirrored wardrobes in your bathroom mirrors.
yeah,
It's like that's a wow factor that you add, but it helps you to maintain a boundary that you're
yeah,
not just doing everything that they want, and then
yeah.
it affects your business margins. Yes.
Totally agree.
What sort of software do you use to schedule your business? Do you have anything in
Okay.
particular?
Yeah, so when I first started, I used Squeegee.
Yeah,
Um, and I found that really, really good because it's designed, it really is good for window cleaners.
yeah,
You want a job, it gives you your routes, your runs, your invoice, everything. That was
yeah.
great. But then when I sold my window cleaning, because if you think I now only have three commercial window
Yeah,
cleaning
yeah.
customers, and my need for invoice production in a month is minimal. So then I
Mm.
stopped Squeegee and I literally have an Excel file that has a profit and loss template on it.
Hmm.
And one side, I've got all of my sales broken down by categories, weeks, and days. And then the bottom half, I've got all of my costs broken down into the elements that I want them. And I literally have a running profit and loss on it. And I just have templates for my invoices. And that at any time, I can see for the year what my margin is, what my
Yeah,
establishment costs are.
yeah. So you haven't maintained like it because it's an investment using software like Squeegee app, which is what I've used since 2020. It's an investment, but it has to be worthwhile. It
Yeah,
has to
exactly.
it has to serve your business, not you serve it. So
Yeah.
if you've what you've got now sounds like it serves you, and well done to that. So I notice when I've seen you on social media, you've got sometimes different people working for you. Obviously, um, the young window
Owen,
cleaner, I forget his name now, Shy Exterior Cleaning.
yeah, young Owen, that is. Yes, yes,
Yes, yes, yes, that's it. So you work with young people who are getting into the game.
yeah,
So with the wisdom that you've gained over 6 years,
yeah.
hey,
That's debatable.
you've learned
Debatable.
lots of stuff.
Yeah.
What would be your top three tips for any newbie window cleaner or exterior cleaner to that end? Would you
Right.
give
Okay.
to people?
Whoa. Okay. Top three tips. Ooh, okay. Um, right. Well, I said that quote earlier about never say that's good enough.
Yes.
To me, if you've got that as an attitude, I'd say that's an overriding thing. Have that approach to your work.
Yeah.
Be diligent, if you will. Um, I would say if you're going to get into because there's window cleaning and then there's exterior cleaning. Yeah.
That's right.
So you've really got to think about what services am I going to offer? And you may want to decide to master one thing, become a master at one thing, and then add other services to it as you go along. So in other words, don't try and be everything to everybody.
Yes.
Um,
So in
I
other
think
words, decide on a niche.
yeah,
Decide on a
yeah,
niche. So that might be window cleaning and
yeah.
do that well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then you do that really well. You become a bit of an artisan, if you will, at that particular niche, and then bring in other services as you go along. And I think that can be quite useful in that you don't trip over yourself in terms of cash flow, because some of this equipment's expensive and you don't want to put a lot of money out at the beginning, not do a business plan and find out this isn't going to work for me because I haven't got any money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that would be one point I would say. Um, I think another thing is charge like a professional, not a beginner.
That's a good one. All right, so let's just develop that a bit. How do you discern the difference?
Okay, I think what you've got to be aware of, some businesses, if they want to get into a market space, will buy market share. But they can do that. The Apples of this world and the other sort of businesses, if they want to break into it, they can buy market share and come in cheap if they chose to. Apple
Yeah.
don't, but if they chose to, yeah, they could do that. And then they could take everybody out. But we can't do that if we're getting into our area as an exterior cleaning specialist. So we've really got to appreciate that cheap prices do not build strong businesses. That just doesn't happen if you're doing cheap pricing all of the time. Cheap prices actually build burnout.
Yes.
So, from my perspective, I'm very proud of what I do and what I deliver, and I need to make a living. If you want my services, you do pay a premium for it, but you will get a fantastic job.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really interesting thing. So, how does a newbie know where to start?
Okay. So on roof cleaning, you could go to Google and find a number of websites that tell you average roof prices in the UK. And those prices might vary from £6 a square meter to £15 a square meter. Then what you've got to do is to look at the complexity of the job. And after you've done one or two, you then got to have that, start to develop that appreciation, and you start to feel where you're going to sit yourself in that range, if you will. Yeah.
Yes.
That, but always be prepared to walk away from a job. So if I've looked at the job and I think this is actually a £1,500 job, it's going to take me on my own 2 days to do it. So I'm quoting £1,500. I'm not going to allow them to try and drop me in terms of that price and then resent the work and not enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point because I've just had a flashback. As you're talking about that, I've had a flashback to my very first
Yeah,
residential job in a southern suburb of Sydney when I first started my business. And I
yeah,
was
yeah,
so confident that the price I gave the client was the right price,
yeah.
but I miscalculated dramatically. And throughout the whole job, I just resented what I was doing. And
Oh,
whenever
yeah,
I'm down in Sydney and I
yeah,
drive down that road, there's the house. It's still the same looking house 29 years later, but
yeah,
it's a memory of that's what can happen if you just charge cheap. You're not going to love it if you're just doing it to get a job.
yeah,
Remember, you got to run a business. There
yeah.
are overheads, there are things you've got to calculate. Be prepared to charge as a professional, not a newbie. That's a really good one. That's a
Yeah.
really good
I,
one.
I think exterior cleaning, there is tons of work to be
Oh,
had,
absolutely.
absolutely tons. And in the UK, this industry, it actually rewards professionalism,
Yeah.
but it punishes guesswork. So if you start, I'm going to do it for this price, I'll just get that piece of business. Before you know it, as you're saying there, you start to not enjoy your work, you get burnout, and you think, why am I doing this?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's just something for anyone in the service industry to have in mind that I think people they start to like for instance in Australia, if you Google how much does a window cleaner cost,
Yeah.
it will provide you an answer from Seek employment platforms or Indeed employment platforms, and it will say a window cleaner gets $30, $35 an hour.
Mm.
And people think, well, when I get a quote, that's what it's going to cost. But what that search engine has told them is what a wage is for someone working for a company
Yeah,
as an employee, not as a business person.
yeah,
So that causes some panic amongst some of the tradespeople who then only charge low fees.
yeah,
And then I see on forums they're disgruntled, they're chasing their tail, and it becomes basically a quick run to the bottom
yeah,
rather than
yeah,
a nice steady climb to the top. So
yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah.
yeah, some great wisdom. So anything else that you would share with someone new? You've talked about
Um,
always making sure you do a very high quality job and have that as your work ethic. Charge
yeah,
like a professional.
yeah. Get project yourself as a professional as well. So make sure you've got professional clothing on, because you turn up at jobs and people see the right clothing. That's
Yeah,
fantastic. They
yeah,
think you're actually committed to what you're doing. Where you can, if you feel you can, use social media. So if you're doing a job and it's looking good, take some photos, put them on Instagram, a little video with your camera. Those sort of things. When you're chatting to a customer, maybe talking about the roof or the driveway, and you can say, "Oh, I did one of these jobs last week. If you go and have a look at my business Instagram account, you'll see it."
yes.
They
Right.
they see that you're established, and that's
Yes,
important as
that's
well.
very, very important. Yeah. So, so overall, looking back on the 6 years, what would you
Yeah.
say has been your biggest accomplishment in your
Okay.
business? Like you've gone from working as a print manager now to running your own show. What
Yeah.
would you say has been your most rewarding accomplishment?
Okay. Most rewarding. I get a lot of joy out of empowering other people, training other
Yeah,
people as
that's
well.
lovely. Yeah,
So yeah, that is fantastic. So for example, Shire Exterior Cleaning,
yeah,
Owen. I was quite fortunate there in that I've known his grandparents and his mum and dad since he was like 10 inches tall.
yeah,
Um, and so the relationship was there. He decided he'd already, at 17, I think, his mum was driving him to gutter cleaning jobs. And he decided that's what he wanted to do. So it was easy for me, Uncle Paul, if you will, to
There's my drink
start.
for you.
Oh,
Sorry,
here's my wife.
Bridget.
Here's my wife
I'm
bringing
poorly. Nice to see you.
we're
hello.
very
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
good. We get smoothies in England as well.
Ah, cool.
So for me, it was a real joy to actually be involved in training Owen up.
Yeah,
He's fully established, very competent. I think this year he's going to get his second van on the road. So for 22 years of age now, he's doing well. So
that's really excellent. Yes, yeah, I saw him. Saw the social media where he went from his old van to the new one, and
yeah,
now he's going number two. That's pretty good. That's very good. So Paul, thank you. That's been a fascinating discussion. The transition from running the print show into window cleaning, into roof cleaning, and now into consulting and training. I think people have seen you on social media, but to get the backstory, to find out what you enjoy about it, builds enthusiasm, and it positions you, even though you've only had a short time in the industry compared to others, it does
yeah,
position you as a real mentor for the industry. And I think sometimes, like in my experience here in Australia, there's been a lack of mentorship.
yeah,
People are afraid to tell their story because they think it'll, impede their business growth, or competition will find out about them, rather than having an abundance mentality and sharing the skills,
yes,
because there is so much scope for the industry to grow in every country around the world, particularly UK, Australia, and the United States. So
yeah.
thank you so much for joining me here on the Window Pro podcast. All the best with your continued training programs and everything that you get involved with your business. And I look forward to catching up with you again.
Good to see you, Duncan. All the best.
Thank you.